that map overhead. Still, Grotels are going to have a look at what was an interesting decision. Maybe an attempted watching for supporting me on my way to that predictions title. But another look at the overhead. You can see Flavor of the Month making their rotation at the north of the map, down from Rift, where we saw them just a few moments ago, where Fenerbahce Esports currently are located. They're going to have to go through a few teams, though, on their way towards the zone. However, kind of like that approach from the north. You have that high ground. You can look down on Grow Towers. I feel like if you move from the other side, you're always fighting an uphill battle. And speaking of uphill battle, hit 789, and they've already lost one.
Yeah, 789 down to just 2 players, but sometimes you can just hold back because it was down to a grenade and it wasn't a team necessarily right on top of you. You may be able to get that banner, you may be able to bring that teammate back. It was New Esports who were throwing said grenade and they're not inting just yet. Across on the horizon, you can see Pierre and at least one member of Flavor of the Month just a little bit further back than the rest, and they're looking to try and take this fight here, but it is a caustic on the inside. The crack does come from the grenade, though. Is that going to be enough to push in? That's a double crack.
Yeah, you've got to go. One knock has come in from the frag grenade. That's going to be 2 players down now. Flavor of the Month, this is a wonderful push. However, got to finish things off here, and they do so in style. No player knock. The armor swaps come in as well. Pierre's going to have to pop that med kit to get himself back up to full HP, but that's about as good as it gets. That's the problem sometimes with sitting in a building with Caustic. Even though you have those traps down and you can slow things down, if the grenades come in, you've got no escape for him.
Yeah, we saw Caustic change from 5 teams to 3. What are you doing, Game of Drones? Just driving into nothing. New Esports say thank you very much. Was that just poor driving? Were you asleep at the wheel? I don't know what's just gone on.
Game of Drones. I mean, I don't know what to say. That was stupid. That's what I really had. Oh, what you want me to say?
It's unfortunate. I think they probably were hoping they were going to be able to just dip through the middle, but maybe a grenade knocked them off course. A shame for Game of Drones. They'll look back at that one. Probably a little bit of laughter after a little bit of sadness to be the first emotion they go through. Na'Vi are going to be holding one of these positions in Grow Towers, and I feel like holding the third building, or the third story of this building is always good because you get such a vantage point. But it looks like Na'Vi, they want to initiate here. They want to take these 2 remaining players of 789 down.
I think they've realized it's just a 2. The damage is going to be done. Strafey goes in, takes down his Desu, and I'll tell you what, who needs Nesh? Who needs Kuya? But Strafey's just going to walk in with the Avery and absolutely decimate what was left over of 789. They will be eliminated here. As we take another look at that map overhead. Still, Grotels are going to have a look at what was an interesting decision. Maybe an attempted drive-by? Just, I don't know. The more I see it, Dan, still nothing's popping to mind.
I feel like they hit a curb. It just didn't go well for them. Maybe
we did list off some of the specs of the Trident.
Yeah.
Which was, you know, the V6, the twin turbojet, the photon cannons, and of course the 6 consoles. But maybe there was a little electronics malfunction on the GPS there, and that's what happened.
It's a lack of suspension. You hit a curb and you're gone. There is no chance of rescuing it. And when there's 3 people shooting at you, funnily enough, it is very difficult to try and reposition. Na'Vi still overlooking everyone else, and they are a team who could edge their way to match point as well if they were to get a big game here. They are 27 points off of 50. The teams really, though, who I think have a genuine chance of match point in this game, Firebeavers, Kangana, and Underrated. Not major pushers because we saw them go down to just 1 a little bit earlier. So 3 teams, I think, could make it to match point, but it's very unlikely all 3 of them will. It would be probably 1, maybe 2 at a push.
Well, 15 squads remaining now. As we're seeing, 50 seconds until Zone 2 does close in. And in comparison to some of the other games that we've seen so far on Olympus, it's a decent amount of teams that are still alive. There are a couple of teams that aren't a full complement of players, but it does seem that most people have found somewhere to play for now. That field will be cut, though, and almost in half when we do see that Ring 3 start to close in as the playable area becomes even less for the likes of Flavor of the Month, who have to make their way through from the northern side. And you see that Taylor's trying to do a little bit of poke damage here to Magicians, I'm pretty sure that was on the other side. And Underrated, at the moment, a very serene approach to the game from them. K-Swinney, I think he just stepped away for a few seconds there to maybe make a little cup of tea.
And I wonder whether that is because they're coming up close to match point. They're just going to play a little bit more restricted now. Don't feel the need to be overly aggressive, but at the same time, I think they'll know when they need to push. Last game, they knew they had to take position off Aqualix. They got aggressive, they took that position, and that was what won them the game, really, because they were able to hold that section of the map throughout the entirety, and the circle just kept pulling their way. It was fantastic. Fenerbahce maybe in a sticky situation here. Flavor of the Month have an angle on them, and maybe above them if they decide to push this.
Nice shots coming in from the R301 here of North. Not quite getting that shield break to really give them the indication that they want to push. Let's have that rock in front of him for a little bit of cover as well as the natural elevation and undulations of this open field that you see in front of him. The scan will come in and notice that Fenerbahce are an isolated team. However, Maestro, well, this is bad news for them because they've decided to go for the skyward dive. The only problem is there's a team inside. That is Fire Beavers, and they have been absolutely superb so far today. The first knock going to come in from Sunset, and now it's going to be up to 9 Impulse to come in on this flank to try and finish off, but by the time he's got there, Sunset has just taken it upon his own shoulders to take out the entirety of Maestro and claim 3 KP, all to himself and for his team. Yeah,
that's 4 or 5 KP they've already managed to accumulate, plus 1 point for getting top 15, so I think that's around 6. They needed, what, 11 points? So if they're able to push themselves into the top 5, they will be on match point. Flavor of the Month still in this engagement, but as you said, they haven't really got that crack yet, but they just keep pushing up, and they're hoping that maybe they'll be able to then get some KP, but they are very aware that with 14 squads left and these circle closing soon, there's probably more teams on the horizon, so you do have to be a little bit careful with overly aggressive pushes.
Yeah, you can't just send it. As you can see, Fenerbahce in a little bit of a tight spot just under that archway on that bridge. Magician's overlooking, trying to see if they can do that damage. Maybe Flavor of the Month will be able to take advantage if they can do the damage. Drop down, get the kills, and then pop that bubble, get the shield swaps and hold off the push. But that's easy for us to see with all the point of views of where everybody's looking and what everybody has covered. Magician's now going to be slowly moving up, and they will be safe around where Malawan is going to be playing. Fire Beavers now deciding to redeploy, and I kind of like this idea, Dan. This is something we were talking about a little bit away from camera, how it's great to redeploy and use that skyward dive to get inside a zone, but there's more than one use for Valkyrie. You can use it for reconnaissance, but also moving from the insider zone to the outsider zone as well.
We saw Alliance do it on day number 1, I think it was, where they got knocked, they were able to pick up a banner, and they actually skyward dived away from the location so they could respawn their 3rd teammate, so they could then get back into the game. It didn't work out in the end of things, they got held, but that just shows the various ways you can use Valkyrie. And again, I just love what Fire Beavers were doing. They go up into the air, they have a little scout around, very similarly to how you'll go up a balloon sometimes and then drop off halfway up, just so you can get some height, see who's there, get the lay of the land, and then you can reassess how you want to push. We've seen some very weird pushes from Valkyrie as we now get an actual push from Flavor of the Month.
Yeah, Flavor of the Month versus Fenerbahce, and it's going to be the first knock actually going down to Fenerbahce here. Catherine will be taken down alongside Pinky Finky, and now that will be the final kill. Flavor of the Month will come out on top here, but as you can see, a defensive bombardment coming in. Magicians, who have always been in the vicinity, always looking to sniff out any opportunity to come in and clean up some KP. Well, they're on the scene now, and they're looking for bodies.
Yeah, Flavor of the Month and Fenerbahce just wiped each other. Unfortunately, after that entirely long engagement of them just kind of poking one another, seeing who could get a crack, they finally have an engagement, finally have a 3v3, and they just all die. And Magicians come in and say, hey, where's the... Oh, there's just death boxes. Sure, okay, we'll have the loot.
Endeavor now making a very, very late rotation in. Going to hit that jump pad, but the only problem is the jump pad takes them into the shark pit, and even with the shots coming in from Bryn, it'll be Scars who say thank you for the loot delivery. No delivery charge required for them, though. They will pick up everything now. The only issue is Mandy is going to have to pop that bubble, maybe, as the defensive barman will come in from New Esports, who are holding down this choke and have been kind of the toll keepers, so to speak, of anyone passing through this little area from the east of the map. And now August and Hungry, once again playing things slow. And don't worry, Badoli's not silly. He knows that's a teammate.
Sometimes it does scare me with the overlay, because when you don't see the player name, I'm like, why is he not shooting? Sodell is the last player remaining of Aqualix. He was actually the last remaining player earlier on when they got the victory. Slightly different situation. Also notably, the only Pathfinder being used in this tournament. They feel like Pathfinder does a better job than Bloodhound, so that's why they utilize him instead of Bloodhound. This circle is not a pretty one, and actually underrated are in quite a nice spot. When you look at the circle where it's going to be ending, there isn't particularly a good amount of cover. So here in Grow Towers, at least you've got a rotating building that can cover you periodically. There are times where you are going to be vulnerable, but as long as you rotate with it, you should be fine.
Yeah, it's the definition of a rotation within a rotation. However, the one scary thing here for Kungana is seeing a silence being fired up onto those ramps. And what does that mean? It means that there's a Revenant team below you, it's underrated, and you know at some point, you're going to have to hold off that push. That's been the story of underrated success here on Olympus and in other games as well. It's just waiting for that totem and knowing they have a push to clear out the area around them and give them that space to play with.
Yeah, because they are below them, they will fear that Kungana at any point could drop on them. So instead of waiting for that, they're going to be proactive. And you'd imagine once they have the ultimate, they will just in straight away onto Kungana, and we'll see whether it's successful or not when it happens. Magicians now making their move into the circle. You can see the heavy pings as they try and find any sort of cover. But unfortunately, Fire Beavers are there waiting, but Taskmaster will fall. And despite the fact they did have shots on the oncoming team, there are other teams who are also being able to scalp them out.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a quick res onto Taskmaster, and they will manage to get it done. Denze has been taken down from New Esports, and the bubble will be exchanged here to allow him to get back to his feet. But here comes an EMP. The question is, will that take out the bubble and cause enough time and enough damage for those kills to be picked up? In the kill feed then, Mandy going down from Scars. Taishin going down as well. Magicians trying to deal damage, but for all the damage they're dealing here, Magicians, they're not the ones who are getting these knocks, and now they find themselves on the receiving end of a Kraber shot coming in from RPR.
RPR falls. That's going to be Scars wiped in 9th position then, and New Esports are now going to push in and try and clear up what was remaining. Underrated also did attempt the Revenant ultimate, but I don't think it has been successful as of yet, as there is the final wipe then. New Esports are able to achieve those kills. They get the KP, and that's going to at least be good for them as they are the kill leaders as well. I can at least see 8 KP, so a very good job from New Esports right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens now for underrated. You just noticed there in the bottom left-hand of your screen a couple of ultimate accelerants being popped by the Revenant Jazaz. So if at first you're not successful, try again, and that's exactly what they will be doing to try and take that high ground off of Kungana in the late moments. 4-gang though, center zone, Caustic in the lineup as well, means that they'll be able to get those barrels down and will be very, very difficult to push. Kungana, still kings of the castle though, kings of the hill, up on top here of the Grow Tower.
So what's important is one player still remains from Fire Beavers. If you can rat your way to, I'm going to say top 3 guarantees you match point, judging from the kills that I've seen. They may have more KP. Top 5 might guarantee them match point, but I haven't seen all POVs, so I don't know how many kills exactly they have. Kungana as well, they've got a few kills, so top 3 would guarantee them match point. So we have got a chance that 2 teams may be on match point after this if they play it correctly, but all hell is about to break loose as round 5 closes here, because there is not much space to work with.
Na'Vi in a pretty good spot though, and now this is a problem for Kungana, because if they have to move forward a little bit, then Na'Vi have got angles and head glitches to play with that can do quite a lot of damage. August and Hungry at the bottom of your screen there, and just above them is 4-gang, the team that we were talking about a minute ago. New Esports now making their move up onto zone, and that's going to be a stick, I think, that just came in, or it might have just been a little bit of splash damage for the EMP. Oh my word, that one will do. And now they're going to be moving in, but can they secure the kills? Matafe will go down, and that's one way to wipe a team. The grenades getting the job done and dealing a huge amount of damage.
I tell you what, New Esports look really scary when it comes to Olympus, just as they did earlier on in the tournament, and Sunset can't survive. That's going to be 6th place. Did they get enough kills for match point? That's my big question. I'm not sure whether they did. Na'Vi, though, still at 2. 5 squads remaining. Kungana are one of those squads. Kungana now favourites for match point.
Na'Vi lost a player in all of that, though. So was it worth it? Now comes the poke battle that has been continuing for such a long time between Kungana and underrated. Na'Vi, that 2-man team, having lost one in that battle that we saw just a few moments ago with Sunset. Trust trying to survive for now, but a little bit of calm with the 5 squads alive here. Everyone has somewhere to play, but Kungana are going to have to be one of the first teams to move here now.
Yeah, I wonder whether they're going to hope that maybe underrated move before them and underrated just kind of jump on someone else, but it's going to be kind of a back-to-back who breaks first. This was the wipe from New Esports. I mean, there's so much damage there from the grenades. Like, that's why utility is so important in Apex Legends. One of the things I see it kind of casual Apex Legends ranks is that people don't have enough grenades in general, and you need them, and that's the main reason why. Here comes the push then, underrated, they are going to win, they are going to go into the Remnant. Oh.
Dazzle with the beams, and now can he convert it into kills? That's the real question here for Underrated. The damage has been done. The second wave will now come in. Swinny manages to get one. Gonna be traded out though by Mady, so a 1-for-1 knock at the moment. Kangana still controlling this high ground. JMW is getting rezzed, and it seems like at the moment it's gonna be a trade of res, but here comes the push now. The second wave. Dazzle taking some damage, but also dealing some damage from the Eva 8 here of Graceful. And Graceful once again just dropping down. The man has been a damage output machine for Kangana over the last few days.
Fairly certain Underrated just got wiped. What a fantastic hold that was from Kangana. And Navi wiped off the face of the earth as well. That's a top 3 for Kangana. That's at least 7 points. And I can see at least 3 KP. So that means they would be 1 point off of getting match point here. So they need 1 more KP and they would be there. So let's see whether they can do it.
Got a portal down as well. EMP is going to come in, however, which might just slow things down for a second. The bubble is going to give 4Gang a little bit of time just to reset here, maybe just to get that res off. And look at this angle now that Graceful has. This is what I meant by micro rotations and portals with the Wraith. He has been so good at finding places to do damage away from his team, who now come through that portal to join him.
Well, it would be quite appropriate if Kangana were our first team on match point after the performance they've had, but they have to stay alive and get to top 2 or find 1 KP here. All down to Graceful here on the Wraith. You've got to stay alive, you've got to try and clutch up, and maybe, just maybe, you could be the first team at match point.
Gonna pop that med kit. Shearer is going to be popping a Phoenix as well, and he manages to get one here, Graceful. However, he will go down, and we're down to our final 2 squads. The push now comes in from 4Gang. No real damage being done onto Kashira, but it doesn't matter because his teammates fall and allow him to fall last. 4Gang inside of that building to the outside with the aggression. Haven't seen that opportunity presented to them. And I tell you what, Dan, just taking a look across, 4Gang who are on 13 points coming into